So it's going to kind of rock and roll pretty fast. If you would, let's open up with a prayer. And Senator Williams, you mind opening a prayer?
Be glad to, sir. Let us bow. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you again, thanking you again for a wonderful day. Thanking you for the opportunity to serve the people of the great state of Georgia. Dear God, please give us patience, humbleness, tranquility, and passion to deal with the issues before us. Please bless our men and women in uniform that protect us each and every day, and protect our men and women who are at the border. In thy name we pray, amen.
All those words were extremely meaningful, and we appreciate them.
I'm sorry?
I said your words were extremely meaningful, and we appreciate them.
Thank you.
Your prayer. Thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to go and get started. I think a gentleman that had reached out to me earlier, but his plans got canceled, but we're going to let him go and go first because he has to go to another meeting, and that's Representative Dickey. So we'll bring you to the chair first, and you promised me only a few minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
please make sure he remembers this when Senate bills start coming through the House.
Well, I think this guy's one of them we can trust.
Mr. Chairman, I had Senator Kilpatrick go first this morning on her bill, so Kirkpatrick, excuse me.
Are you trying to remind
So I always give preference to my good senators, very important. So thank you for letting me be here this morning. We got HB 970, a REACH scholarship bill. It's a bill I've had passion for since I've been here. But this legislation is very minor. It just makes some funding modifications to the scholarship program, which is our state's only needs-based mentoring scholarship program. So many of you maybe have been to some signing ceremonies where in 8th grade, local decision makers decide on those $10,000 scholarships to be awarded to those students in 8th grade that carry on to college or technical college. And so this bill really just realigns the state and local matching funding for these scholarships. Funding comes from local and state. And so it standardizes the local funding at $1,000 per student scholarship for the local systems to raise, and $9,000 for the state eligibility part of the scholarship. This program is currently in all of our 180 school systems, and thanks to my former colleague here, President Lynn Riley of the Georgia Student Finance Commission, who oversees this program as well as many of our other programs. The program's in great shape, good shape financially, and just these modifications will let it go on indefinitely in a good shape. It's in our governor's budget. It's in ours. It's a small program. It's not but $6 million. And so I just hope you'll see favorable making these changes to it. The governor's office also asked for human trafficking vehicle victims to be considered when the local selection committee selects these students. So these students are based, also have to be on school lunch programs. It's usually students who come from a background whose parents never been to college. It's a real workforce development. It's a real family changing scholarship bill that I just really seen transformational changes in some family dynamics and school situations with this scholarship. So it's an earned scholarship. They have to keep it. They have mentors and overseen by the school board. So that's all this bill does. I'll be glad to ask some questions.
I'm willing to make a motion if you're ready. It's a good bill. It's a good program.
Any other questions of the committee or any questions committee? None being.
All right. Move to pass HB 970 LC 491635. Correct.
Second by Senator Williams. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Aye.
100%. Thank you. Very
Thank
good.
you very much. Thank you, Senators. Appreciate that consideration.
Who's gonna carry that for you?
You and I had a discussion that you were going to have somebody in mind. But I'd be happy with anybody.
I'll be more than happy to do that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Sure, man. You mind doing this? I got a bill. Sure,
All right, Mr. Chairman. So
Thank you.
we're on Senate Bill 497, and we're working from LC 491826S.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very good another workforce development bill. I've asked Mark Peavy with TCSG to be with me because this apprenticeship program is really handled through TCSG, and this actually came out of Senator John Albert's Workforce Development Study Committee, which I was a member of during the summer. And this bill expands the high demand career apprenticeship program of TCSG, and it makes a priority for students 15 to 21, and then it also adds a public service, which is a state and local government apprenticeship program also to it. And this ensures that CTAE, which is career, technical, and agricultural education, aligns with the workforce needs. So let me go into the bill a little bit. First of all, the maximum amount on this appropriation on this bill is $1,250,000, and this has been in the budget now, Mark, for several years.
This will be the third year, yes.
Third year. So it's not any new money or anything like that being appropriated, but there are some changes in it. So what we've actually done in the past, this was a $10,000 per apprentice bill, and it allowed a company to have 5 apprentices. So that has been modified because we realize we need more of these apprenticeship programs doing so. So we have changed it from a $10,000 apprentice for five apprentices to 10 apprentices at $5,000. So went from 10,000 at 5 to now 5,000 at 10. So you see the dollar amounts have not changed at all. So what we've done on this, we've also grandfathered in any company that was involved in the apprenticeship program up to July 1 of 24. So as I said, the purpose of it is to expand the number of employers in the program and to reduce the award from 10,000 to 5,000. And this is actually handled through the Office of Workforce Development through TCSG. And that $5,000 will be paid to the company, $2,500 at the beginning of the apprenticeship program, and then $2,500 1 year at the end of the program. And again, as I stated earlier, this is to put priority on the youth from ages 15 to 21 or adult education students working on a high school diploma. Also, a big part of this bill is it also, as I stated earlier, it expands the apprenticeship program to also include public service apprenticeship. So it directs TCSG to create a public service apprenticeship program, partner with state and local government opportunities. The cap on that is just like the private sector. It is also a 10 apprenticeship program, and the dollar amount's the same thing as $5,000 per apprentice. So the purpose of develop opportunities tied to completion of high school CTAE public administration pathway program, and provide priority of awards to local governments of up to $5,000 for fairly registered apprenticeship programs, and it's the priority of state and local governments. This legislation requires TCSG reporting for the program, and it actually is just like a lot of our stuff, a lot of our bills, it has a sunset provision of July 1 of 27. At that time, if the General Assembly feels that the program has been successful, then it can be reauthorized and continue to fund. Again, the current funds available to the program is $1.25 million for grants and program administration. And I would ask Mr. Peavy, you have any additional comments?
Mr. Chairman, we're very supportive of this legislation. It gives us a chance to expand. The changes to the program are coming directly from input from local industry who have been a part of the program over the last 2 years. They'd like the opportunity to have more interns as part of the program and are okay with having a smaller dollar amount on the front end. The change in terms of funding, the initial is really the point of the program as a whole to help companies get these programs up off the ground and running. And so we're very supportive of the bill as written.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? First, I got to thank Senator Moore. Did you have number 3? Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Approximately how many apprentices do you have in this program now?
We've run it fully for 2 years. We've actually got the second half of the second year that we're about to award. So we do an awards opportunity, an application and awards opportunity in the fall each year, and then we follow up later on in what typically the spring to make sure we're maximizing. And so we're in the second half of the second year. Across the 2 years, we're going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 to 500 apprentices that are out there, a couple of hundred companies that are participating. So.
What about people that are already in the program and you're reducing the amount of money per student? Is this going to affect them?
No, so we're not going to, if you're already in the program, we'll carry out the funding just as is. This will be for the program moving forward. So as we move into the 2025 year, assuming this legislation passes, we will modify the program and modify the awards as we move forward and not hinder the companies that are already part of it.
Okay, is this $2,500, $5,000 per student, is that enough money to get them through, or is the student going to have to other expenses? Are they going to have to do loans or anything?
We've gotten that amount directly. This is not covering tuition. This is money that goes directly to the companies to help cover the cost of their internship. So we've got direct feedback from the companies that says we would like to, we're okay with a smaller dollar amount, but an opportunity to have more apprentices as a part of the program.
Okay.
So we've been very specific. That feedback comes directly from our industry partners as they've looked at the program and their involvement in it thus far.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Senator, to answer your question about the people, companies that are in the program as of July 1 of 24, they'll continue with the $10,000 amount. It'll only be companies after July 1 of 24 that will drop down to $5,000.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Senator Harrell, what number are you?
Yes, thank you. I remember passing this legislation a couple years ago, so good to know that everything's underway and you have so many companies participating. I was wondering if you could give me maybe a live example of a student in a company just to illustrate how it's effective. But before you do that, and that'll give you a minute to think about one, these students are doing these apprenticeships for credit and not pay, is that right?
It depends on what the company does. The company,
Okay.
these are company-run internships from that perspective, and so some of the companies do pay them, others don't. Some use these dollars to pay, others
see.
bring their own money to the table to be able to do that.
Okay.
An example I could think of, Kubota is part of the program, and so Kubota is bringing interns in to come work for them. This helped them start and enhance the program that they have. It is also really designed, and I don't have those names at the top of my list right now, but for smaller companies and medium-sized companies who might not have a huge corporate HR department to be able to start a formal internship program. And so that's really where the help is designed to go to companies on a level who need some support in getting that up and running. And the idea is they get it up and running and then have a program that is sustainable over time. But this has allowed many smaller companies to be able to participate from that standpoint.
As co-chair of the Japan caucus, I'm glad to hear that Kubota is participating. So the ages are again what?
It's been wide open, and Senator Hickman, if you want to address that one, but he's really, we focus it on as close as we can, and one of the changes to the bill allows, we do have some companies, in particular in the Coweta area, who are many of them are German-based companies, who look to start their programs at 15, and so coming right out of high school, the first few years of what might be a post-secondary career, and then also we'll focus on our adult education population who are coming back into the workforce, reskilling, upskilling, and need to be connected directly somewhere, those are the two focus areas that we've got. But
Okay.
quite honestly, any student that wants to participate in one, we're going to make sure they get plugged in if they can. So,
Got a live example yet
of what?
of a student and a company match, just to kind of tell the story a little bit?
I'll work on getting some of that
Okay.
back to you. I don't have it sitting right here in front
Okay,
of me. but we'll
thank
get
you.
it back to
Senator Huffstower.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only question, I guess, if my math's right, looking at this 5,000, you'll be able to do 250 a year. Is that correct, or?
That is, I'll count that your math is right, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, so.
I mean,
But that should be about right, yes, sir.
do you anticipate selling out on this program? I mean, that doesn't seem like a huge amount statewide, but
We've absolutely sold out the last, the 2 years that it's been in operation. So yes, I would absolutely expect we were. If you'll allow me, Mr. Chairman, I will on with the public sector component that is being added here, we're not, unless an additional appropriation comes forward, and we're not asking for that as part of this bill, we anticipate setting aside, based on the demand that we see come in, some portion of the 1.2 that will make sure is available to the public sector piece also. So we will, as we move forward, assuming this bill moves ahead, we will make sure that we have some dollars set aside for both of those. But we absolutely have more demand than we've got dollars for here, and so I anticipate that happening as we move forward.
and so is it a first come, first serve in each of the?
There's an application process, absolutely, Mr. Chairman, and it's we look at who's applied before, we look at what the demand is, what the need is, and try to make sure we're matching up as best we can. So that application process is what drives who gets the awards.
Okay.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, we have, this is 497. Okay, we have 3 people, I think, signed up to speak to the bill. And first, we have Randall Trammell, Dr. Trammell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Randall Trammell with the Georgia Center for Civic Engagement. I'm in support of this bill and looking specifically at lines 172, 171, 72, 73. We are the Career Technical Student Organization that supports that public safety and public administration pathway. And in your packet, you'll see this, what I'm calling the pathway to public service in Georgia. And we cover stops 1, 2, and 3. So the classes, the Career Technical Student Organization, My Path Connection, and then to get them to this point that you're talking about, the apprenticeship. Currently, we do have a funding need, so this would be an additional appropriation that you all have to consider. That is on the back outlined, but I just want to say this is a great step. We have something called the Silver Tsunami that's going to be coming and hitting our public sector in terms of employment, and this will help us provide staffing for our state and local government.
Thank you. Next, we have Alicia
Deutsch.
Deutsch. Okay,
Deutsch.
go ahead. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Alicia Deutsch. I am a student at North Oconee High School, and I participate in the CTSO organization for what he was just speaking about. One thing that we do is called Youth Assembly. We were recognized on the House and Senate floor today, and basically we do what you guys do. We talk about committees, we pass bills, we do legislation, and I do want to say that without this organization and these classes that we have today, I would not be going into politics later in life. We are the future of Georgia politics, and the funding and the apprenticeships, it's really what I look forward to having access to and what other fellow students look forward to having access to later in their careers.
Thank you. If I could just ask, instead of politics, public service.
Public service, yes. That's a much better way to put it.
Thank you, dear. Oh, I do have one question. Number 3.
Whose district do you live in?
For House, I have Houston Gaines, and Senate, it's
Council, Bill Council.
Yes.
Just so it's not mine, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, we have Mark Whitlock.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We are certainly in support of this bill. I'm at the College and Career Academy in Coweta County. At the request of our employers, we started an apprenticeship program several years ago. We're seeing tremendous success with our students. We work certainly with the USDOL. In fact, they've allowed a waiver for the state of Georgia to allow 15-year-olds to train in this program in the manufacturing facility. It's one of 3 programs highlighted by the Metro Atlanta Chamber in their Talent Pipeline Report in 2023. It's the only one of those 3 that's based on apprenticeship. For us, it's vital. It is done at the request of employers and existing employers who need that for their skilled talent for the future.
Do they have PECE anymore? When I was in school, there was PECE. It was a class where we literally went out into the community and worked as ninth graders. I think we were less than 14, the age you're talking about here.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion from the committee? Seeing none, what would be the will of the committee?
Make a motion, do pass.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign.
Opposed.
1 opposed. Okay, your bill passes.
Thank you, sir. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for your patience. I think Representative Chuck Martin is in the room, as I was told. Yes, sir. Oh, there you go. Okay. In the windowsill. In the windowsill. So he is in another committee meeting, so we're gonna let him come in and do his thing, and then after that, we got Senator Marty Harmon somewhere.
Well, I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to apologize and ask your indulgence for maybe with your staff. I had to come straight down from our committee meeting and didn't get to go to my office. I don't even have a copy of the measure that I have before you. Although we've talked about it for 2 years, so I think I fairly know it unless somebody wishes to ask me a line-specific question. But what we wish to bring you today is House Bill 985. This is the same measure that was, it's rather lengthy because it has a lot of cross-references, but the same measure that came to you last year is House Bill 319. This is to abolish a portion of the student finance organization that is no longer needed. This portion of the organization used to service a certain loan portfolio. That portfolio was sold over 10 years ago, and all of those loans have paid out. So I think after, President Riley may be back here, but I think after 2023, it had no reason for existence. So we can abolish this. I think there's about $28 million that will then return to the student finance arm for use as the legislature or the governor dictate. So what we're simply asking you to do is pass the bill that you did as House Bill 319 last year. You all, at some point, I think on the floor, were kind enough to add an amendment to it that the governor took issue regarding us helping out with the tuition, and so we're back to you for just to simply abolish this, return about $28 million to be used for students and grants and scholarships.
Senator Burns.
Chairman, is it the intent of the bill to pass without amendment?
Well, if the senator has something, the august gentleman is vice chairman of this committee, and I'm open to let. I will try to avoid anything that would run crossways with the gentleman that has to sign it to make it law. But yes, sir, if you have a way to perfect it, I'd be interested with it.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy with the way it is.
Yes.
I believe you've done a good job, and I appreciate the fact that you have been patient as we deal with this issue.
No, absolutely. I understand the process down here, and it was important that it be done this year. So we were really a year out ahead last year. I believe President Riley I can't turn around all the way, but I think she's back there, and I think she would nod her head and say that we haven't gated her, but she really needs it this year. She really needs it this year because after this time, it would cause them to just have to do an audit and present information that has no real positive influence on anybody in Georgia.
President Riley, would you mind addressing it?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Chairman Martin is correct. We tried to get out ahead of the need to abolish this program and eliminate some bureaucracy for the state and cost to segregate this information and continue to manage it and perform audits, et cetera. And it will release $28 million to be repurposed for educational purposes here in the state of Georgia, which can be a valuable asset going forward. So we thank you very much for your consideration and unanimous approval, as we were fortunate enough to have last year.
Senator Beach.
Yeah, I'm just going to make a motion to pass House Bill 985 LC 491637.
We got, hold on, we got a couple of questions. Oh, you amendment?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so make it.
I made a motion, pass House Bill 985 LC 491637.
Senator Burns, you want to say?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. My comments were really instructed to my colleagues to suggest that no additional amendments be made on this legislation so that we can move it forward. And I'd be grateful for the committee and my colleagues in the Senate to respect the bill as it is.
Make a second thing.
Second.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I see none. All in favor of the bill, raise your hand. I think that's 100%.
And if it pleases the chair, it seems like Senator Burns, the vice chair, your vice chairman, Senator Hickman, is looking after this bill. He carried it on the floor for us last year. I'd like to ask if he'd be willing to do that again this year.
Yeah, thank you. Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, Senator.
Thank you. And if I may, I'll get back to committee upstairs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Representative.
Yeah.
We got to move rooms again?
Heard my name.
That's funny.
Come on up. Yeah.
That is funny.
If I'm out of breath, it's because I am.
No. We'll give you a second to catch your breath. Time is just right for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for working with me. And you understand this time of year is a little crazy, but thank you.
Take a couple more deep breaths. We're okay. Yeah, feel some.
I'll hold for right now. Thank you. We're going to be LC 500753. If you will look at that. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for working with me in this part. This is really a transparency bill more than anything else that if you look at it, if we look at the issues of China and China's involvement in so many things, the things they own. I know that the agricultural side, we're looking at the farmers being what's going to be owned by them. This has to do, really, if you look at your bill with first pages on 16, line 16, foreign country concerns mean People's Republic of China. A foreign entity means the Chinese Communist Party, the People's Liberation Army, and any organization, institute, or a higher educational learning. What has happened, or what is happening, is there is money being given to our universities from China. And all this bill is saying is that we would like for them to let us know when money comes from China, what's it being given for, who did it come from, and that's where, if you pick up in lines 33, it says what's the amount of the funding, what's the type of the funding, what's the details. It's really one in which we ought to know when money's coming in to our universities from someone who's not our friend, and yet I know we try to be, I believe this, we try to be a friend to everybody in that respect. And I think that what this is really basically a transparency bill that if Georgia Tech, for instance, is given $6.5 million, they at least tell us where that came from, what it's being used for, so that we can know what's going on from that standpoint. And that's really what it is, more of a transparency bill of money, where it's flowing, when it flows, especially from the Chinese. And that's what this is really about. You may want to speak directly to that even more so.
Would you state your name and your involvement with this?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tom Rollins. I helped draft the language, and I'm simply here to answer any questions y'all might have about the language of the bill.
Senator Burns.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman. I recognize that this bill addresses one particular country. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are there others?
I would be open to amendments if you would like to amend, sir.
Well, that's part of the discussion, I think.
Yeah.
The question is, are there others? And the second question is, would it not be beneficial to know any foreign investment that would perhaps come from both friendly and perhaps non-friendly? I mean, this is basically a reporting bill. Is that correct? It's a transparency bill?
Transparency.
So I think it'd be interesting and helpful, and perhaps the USG could provide this, or institutions could provide this. I don't know, but I would suggest that if we're asking for this information from a single country, perhaps it would be helpful if we knew the portfolio of countries that may be making investments in our higher educational environment.
I could agree with that. If we look at Russia or some of the other Middle East, how they're influencing, I think, our universities, and that's one of the places we're seeing.
I would say there's positive influence and perhaps negative influence. So I would hopefully we could find what the reality of the funds are.
Okay.
Senator Beach.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Last year, I passed a bill about prohibiting the Communist Chinese Party from buying farmland and land around a military base. But then what I did change it to the U.S. Department of Secretary Department of State has 5 of our adversaries, if you will. I mean, 5 countries that are on a list. And I can't remember all 5 of them now, but it was the same thing so I incorporated that in. Now, to be honest with you, it was really just China was they're buying our, farmland and so on, but I incorporated all 5 of those countries to Chairman Burns's point. I think it was Iran, Cuba, and there was 5 countries that are recognized by the Department of State, the U.S. Department of State, that are bad actors, if you will. And so I put that in the bill. You may want to think about that. I mean, I know it's probably, the Chinese are the ones that are really influencing education, but it could be some other countries also that that don't like us, or our adversaries. Just a thought.
I don't know whether Ledge Council is with us. Could those same, I don't know whether that could be an amendment, a committee substitute?
Certainly, I'll leave that up to y'all, but there's a current agricultural / critical land bill going through that defines foreign adversaries. Senator Beach, I do want to say that the language was originally focused on China because of the FBI's specific focus on not on the Chinese people, but on Chinese government-affiliated institutions that were in fact trying to infiltrate our educational system and steal our intellectual property.
Senator Williams.
Thank you. I applaud the effort. However, I've got legislation that deals with foreign money coming into elections. So I would just like to expand it to any foreign country, because there again you could have China directing money to whoever, Brazil or Spain or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's coming from a third country, and just to see where it might flow, and then if you have one particular country funneling in a lot of money, then it would raise more issues as to where that money's coming from. And what other country might be involved that might not be on our radar right now, that all of a sudden, where did they come from? Where did they get that kind of money? That's more money than their gross national product. Yeah.
I can
Thank you.
Yeah.
Senator Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking at the State Department's website right now, and they have a list of countries. It's called Countries of a Particular Concern, and I'm assuming that this is updated from time to time. But it includes so probably 10 different countries right now. 12, is that what it is? Okay. So anyway, I would ask that we add that language that follows with the Secretary of the State.
That's a good suggestion. I like that. If that could, can let council.
Senator Burns. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go. Yeah.
In general, when you refer to outside lists, generally, you know, those lists kind of controlled by generally the federal government. The rule of statutory interpretation is that that list is adopted at that time, as it exists at that moment.
Okay.
So, without some additional language or without introducing some infirmities into the law, that list would remain those 10 individuals. And so if the interest is in capturing that update, you'd have some difficulty.
But we could capture the current ones today, and we would just have to look at this again later to update it. But we could accept what's there right now. Is that correct?
I don't want to speak to the constitutionality of what's here because I haven't researched this bill. This is someone else that's I'm filling in, so
Okay.
I apologize. But just as you've listed China, you could list any number of countries.
Okay.
Any other questions or statements or? Now, this is a hearing only today.
Yeah, question, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the author and I appreciate the intent. We're just trying to find a way to get to a point that makes us more comfortable. These potential foreign adversaries, once they are aware that we're tracking their funding, they will seek an alternative path. And then we'll be blind again. So I'm very concerned that we start with one, China, perhaps. We expand it to 10 or whatever the number might be. But I would suggest that they're capable of utilizing another third party country that we're not tracking to achieve their same objective. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm just way out there or something, but I think it's a good start. I do think we probably should expand it beyond one and perhaps adopt the current list that the U.S. Department of State suggests are adversarial to the U.S. And then we'll start with that point and then hopefully over time learn more about what was happening and make adjustments as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We got some more time. Does anybody else want to speak in regard to this? Well, this is here. Unfortunately, this is our last meeting of the year. So this give you time to get ready to bring it back next session, and so forth. So, but okay,
sure.
Thank y'all. It's very. I think it's very. Let me tell you, it's very interesting, and I really, so many things seem to happen right at the last minute. And so this would have been a very interesting bill to brought at the very beginning of the session. We'd had time to get it vetted out and all. So, but thank y'all so much for the interest. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Unless we have anything else, it is que sera, sera. And so, but thank y'all for your attention. This is the last meeting before the crossover. So y'all have a good few days, and we'll see you in the next week or so. Thank you. Bye.